Silence is often misunderstood in today's fast-paced world. We tend to think of silence as merely the absence of noise, something that happens when there are no sounds around us. But in reality, silence is not just about external quietness. It is a deeper, more profound state of being. Silence is the foundation of inner strength because it is through silence that we gain access to our deepest resources, the power of clarity, focus, and self-control. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli, social media, news, conversations, advertisements, and the expectations of others, our minds are often cluttered with noise. This mental noise distorts our perceptions and clouds our judgment. We are conditioned to believe that more information, more distractions, and more external input will help us grow and succeed. But the truth is, the more we allow these distractions into our lives, the further we drift from understanding ourselves and our true potential. When you embrace silence, you are not simply choosing to turn off external noise, you are also choosing to quiet the incessant chatter of the mind. The mind, by nature, is constantly in motion. It jumps from one thought to another, creating a whirlwind of ideas, worries, and distractions. This mental noise can be exhausting and overwhelming. It makes it difficult to think clearly or make decisions that align with your true desires. The more we listen to the noise of the world, the less we are able to hear our inner voice, the voice of intuition, wisdom, and guidance. The foundation of inner strength is built on the ability to silence this internal chatter. When you learn to calm your mind, you begin to access a deeper level of awareness. This state of stillness allows you to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. You realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. This shift in perspective is liberating because it allows you to separate yourself from the constant flux of emotions and reactions that dominate your everyday life. In silence, you can begin to see things clearly, your thoughts slow down, and the fog of confusion lifts. You can make decisions with greater precision because your mind is not clouded by impulsive reactions or external influences. In this space of clarity, you can think critically, creatively, and strategically. The more you practice silence, the more you refine your ability to listen to your intuition. This inner wisdom becomes your guiding force, helping you navigate the complexities of life with a sense of purpose and direction. The power of silence extends beyond personal clarity. It also enhances emotional resilience. When you are in a state of silence, you are less likely to react impulsively to situations that trigger emotional responses. Instead of immediately reacting with anger, frustration, or fear, you pause. This moment of pause is crucial because it gives you the space to choose how to respond, rather than reacting unconsciously. In this way, silence cultivates emotional intelligence, allowing you to approach challenges with a calm and composed mindset. Silence also strengthens self-discipline. In a world where we are constantly pulled in different directions, it takes a strong sense of self-control to resist the temptation of distractions. Silence provides the space to develop this discipline. By regularly engaging in practices that promote silence, whether through meditation, mindfulness, or simply spending time alone, you create a mental environment where you can focus on what truly matters. This discipline is not about forcefully shutting out the world, but about consciously choosing to tune in to your inner voice and prioritize what aligns with your deeper values. Furthermore, silence allows you to connect with the present moment. When we are constantly distracted by the noise around us or the worries about the future, we miss out on the richness of the present moment. Silence helps us reconnect with the here and now. It teaches us to fully experience life as it is, without the constant need to judge, label, or compare. In this state of presence, we experience life in its purest form, free from the filters of past experiences and future expectations. In essence, silence is not just a passive state, it is a powerful tool for personal transformation. When you master silence, you gain the ability to focus your mind, strengthen your emotions, and develop a deep sense of inner clarity. you begin to realize that your true strength does not come from external achievements or the approval of others, but from the stillness within you. This inner silence is the foundation upon which all other forms of strength are built. It is the space where true growth occurs. It is from this foundation of silence that you are able to act with purpose, resilience, and power, free from the distractions and noise that the world constantly throws your way. Mastering your thoughts is the key to mastering your life. The thoughts that dominate your mind shape your reality, influence your actions, and ultimately determine your success or failure. Yet, most people allow their thoughts to control them instead of learning how to control their thoughts. The mind, in its natural state, is like a wild horse, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and often running in every direction. Without discipline, this mental chaos leads to confusion, poor decisions, and an inability to focus on what truly matters. When you begin to master your thoughts, you are not simply trying to suppress or ignore them. You are learning to observe them without being swept away by them. Thoughts are like passing clouds. They come and go. But most people identify with their thoughts as if they are the thoughts themselves. They believe every thought they have is their reality, leading them to act on every impulse or fleeting idea that arises. The result is a life lived reactively, responding to whatever the mind presents in the moment, without any true sense of direction or purpose. Mastering your thoughts requires awareness, the awareness to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. This realization is profound because it allows you to detach from the constant flow of mental activity. Instead of being carried away by every thought, you begin to notice them without becoming entangled in them. You observe the thoughts that arise in your mind without judgment, without attachment, and without the need to act on them immediately. This practice of mindful observation gives you the power to choose which thoughts to nurture and which to let go of. The key to mastering your thoughts is not in forcefully suppressing or rejecting them, but in gaining control over which ones you allow to dominate your mental space. Thoughts, when left unchecked, can spiral into negativity. Fear, doubt, anger, and insecurity can all take root in your mind and grow uncontrollably. But when you develop the discipline to choose the thoughts that align with your higher purpose, you can begin to cultivate a positive, focused mindset. Every thought you entertain creates a ripple effect in your life. If you consistently allow negative or limiting thoughts to take center stage, your actions will reflect that negativity. On the other hand, when you focus your thoughts on what is empowering, constructive, and aligned with your values, your actions will naturally follow suit. One of the most powerful ways to master your thoughts is through practices like meditation and mindfulness. These practices allow you to quiet the mind, making it easier to observe your thoughts without becoming attached to them. Meditation, in particular, is a tool for cultivating mental discipline. It teaches you to sit in silence, focus on your breath, and let go of the constant stream of thoughts that often dominate your consciousness. As you regularly practice this form of stillness, you begin to experience greater control over your mental landscape. The mind becomes less reactive, and you are able to respond to life's challenges from a place of clarity and calmness rather than being overwhelmed by your thoughts. When you master your thoughts, you also gain mastery over your emotions. Emotions are the product of your thoughts, and they are often the driving force behind your actions. If your thoughts are dominated by fear, anger, or frustration, your emotions will follow suit, and you will likely react impulsively or irrationally. But when you can control your thoughts, you gain the ability to regulate your emotional responses. You begin to respond to situations with equanimity rather than being swept away by your feelings. This emotional mastery allows you to navigate challenges with a sense of balance and composure, even in the face of adversity. Another key aspect of mastering your thoughts is the ability to focus your mind. In today's world, we are constantly distracted. Our attention is pulled in many directions by technology, social media, and the demands of daily life. But true success, whether in your personal life, career, or spiritual journey, requires sustained focus. The ability to direct your thoughts towards a single goal or purpose is essential for achieving meaningful progress. When you have mastered your thoughts, you are no longer at the mercy of distractions. You can concentrate deeply on the task at hand, channeling all your mental energy into your goals. This ability to focus is a powerful tool for creating results, whether that means building a career, developing a skill, or working on personal growth. Moreover, mastering your thoughts enables you to create a vision for your life that is aligned with your deepest values and desires. When you are not overwhelmed by mental chatter, you can hear the whispers of your inner voice, the voice that guides you towards your true purpose. This clarity of mind allows you to set clear intentions and take deliberate actions towards your goals. Without mastering your thoughts, you are at the mercy of external circumstances, reacting to the world as it comes to you. But with control over your mind, you can shape your reality by focusing on what you want to create, not on what you fear or doubt. Ultimately, mastering your thoughts is about taking responsibility for your mental state. It is recognizing that you have the power to choose your thoughts and, in doing so, to shape your experiences. Your thoughts do not control you unless you allow them to. When you gain control over your mind, you free yourself from the tyranny of distractions, negative thinking, and emotional reactivity. You become the master of your inner world, and from that place of mastery, you can create the life you desire. The noise around us often reflects the chaos within us. Our external world is a mirror of our inner state. If we find ourselves constantly overwhelmed, stressed, or confused, it is often because we have not yet learned to silence the inner noise that leads to these emotions. In today's world, we are surrounded by a constant barrage of information, social media, news, work demands, and the expectations of others. This external noise bombards us from all directions, making it difficult to find moments of peace and clarity. However, the real challenge lies not in the external noise, but in the noise within our minds. The internal noise is often far louder than anything happening in the external world. Our thoughts, emotions, and reactions constantly swirl in our minds, creating an endless loop of distractions that pull us away from the present moment. We are constantly thinking about the past, worrying about the future, or analyzing everything that happens around us. This mental noise prevents us from experiencing life fully because we are never truly present. We are always caught in the web of our thoughts, and as a result, we miss out on the peace and clarity that silence offers. When we allow external noise to dictate our state of mind, we become reactive instead of proactive. We start to feel that we must respond to everything around us, every text message, every news update, every comment on social media. We feel the pressure to be constantly on, constantly engaged, constantly performing. This creates a sense of unease and anxiety. The external world begins to dictate our emotions and actions, and we lose the ability to act with intention and focus. Instead of being in control of our lives, we become subject to the whims of external circumstances. The first step to quieting the external noise is to understand that it is not the noise itself that is the problem, but our attachment to it. We get so caught up in the noise that we feel the need to react to every stimulus we encounter. This reactionary way of living prevents us from gaining the clarity necessary to make informed, thoughtful decisions. When we allow ourselves to be constantly distracted by the external world, we lose sight of our goals, values, and deeper purpose. We become like leaves in the wind, blown in every direction by the forces around us. The key to dealing with external noise is to develop a strong sense of internal silence. When we cultivate inner peace, we are less likely to be disturbed by the noise around us. In a state of inner stillness, we can observe the world without becoming attached to it. We can witness the external chaos without being swept up by it. This inner silence is not about shutting out the world. It is about learning how to remain centered and composed regardless of the external circumstances. It is about finding stillness within, even when the world around us is in turmoil. Inner silence gives us the ability to discern what is truly important. When we are caught in the noise, everything feels urgent. Every email, every conversation, every task demands our immediate attention. This creates a sense of urgency and pressure that can be overwhelming. But when we develop the ability to sit in silence, we begin to see the bigger picture. We can step back and assess the situation with clarity and calmness. We can prioritize what truly matters and let go of the distractions that don't align with our goals. Moreover, when we master the ability to create silence within ourselves, we stop reacting to external circumstances in an automatic, unconscious way. Instead, we begin to respond consciously. Our responses become intentional, thought out, and aligned with our values, rather than driven by emotional impulses or external pressures. This shift in how we engage with the world is empowering because it allows us to act from a place of strength and clarity, rather than from a place of reactivity and fear. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate inner silence is through practices like meditation and mindfulness. These practices teach us to quiet the mind and bring our awareness to the present moment. By regularly engaging in these practices, we begin to train our minds to focus and detach from the constant stream of thoughts that pull us away from the here and now. The more we practice silence, the more we can access a deep sense of peace that transcends the external noise. In this state, we are no longer controlled by the distractions of the world. Instead, we are guided by a sense of inner calm and wisdom. Another way to reduce the impact of external noise is by creating boundaries in our lives. We cannot control the noise around us, but we can control how much of it we allow into our mental space. By setting clear boundaries around our time, energy, and attention, we can create a space for silence to thrive. This might mean limiting our exposure to social media, turning off notifications, or setting aside specific times for solitude and reflection. These boundaries help protect our mental and emotional well-being, allowing us to focus on what truly matters rather than being constantly bombarded by distractions. Ultimately, the external noise we encounter is often a reflection of our inner state. If we are able to create silence within, we become less affected by the chaos around us. We learn to observe the world without being consumed by it. This inner silence not only gives us the ability to stay calm and centered in the face of external turmoil, but also allows us to access deeper wisdom and clarity. When we quiet the noise within, we open ourselves to a life of peace, purpose, and intentional action. True power is not found in how quickly we react or how loudly we speak, but in the ability to remain still and centered in the face of any challenge. Silence, in this sense, is a tool for gaining control over one's life. It is in silence that we truly access our deepest strengths. When we do not allow ourselves to be swept away by the immediate impulses of our emotions, thoughts, or reactions, we are able to access the true power that lies beneath the surface. This is the power of conscious action that is intentional, deliberate, and aligned with our higher purpose, not driven by unconscious impulses. We live in a world where reaction is often celebrated. Speed, quick thinking, and instant responses are frequently valued. Yet, true mastery is not in reacting quickly, but in knowing when and how to act with purpose. Reaction is typically fueled by external triggers. Someone says something that bothers us, and we respond immediately, often without considering the full consequences of our words or actions. We respond out of emotion, fear, anger, or stress, and in doing so, we relinquish control over our lives. Every time we react impulsively, we give away a piece of our power. This is why silence is so powerful. It gives us the space to pause, reflect, and respond consciously, rather than react impulsively. When we practice silence, we are not merely stopping the noise around us. We are creating space within ourselves to observe our inner landscape, to observe the thoughts and emotions that arise in response to a situation. This pause allows us to choose how we want to respond, rather than being driven by our automatic, unconscious reactions. In this moment of stillness, we reclaim our power because we are no longer controlled by external circumstances or by the turbulence of our inner world. Silence also empowers us to connect with our inner wisdom. In the noise of daily life, it can be difficult to hear the quiet voice of intuition, the subtle guidance that comes from a deeper place within us. Our thoughts, worries, and distractions often drown out this inner wisdom. But when we quiet the mind, when we create space through silence, we open ourselves to the insights and clarity that come from within. In this state of stillness, we can access a deeper knowing, a knowing that is not influenced by external opinions, societal pressures, or fleeting emotions. This is the place where true power resides, the power to act with confidence, the power to make decisions that align with our authentic selves, and the power to move forward with unwavering clarity. When we are able to remain silent in the face of external chaos or pressure, we also demonstrate a level of emotional mastery. The ability to stay calm and composed, even when others are losing their heads, is a sign of strength. Emotional reactivity often stems from a lack of control over one's inner world. When we are not in control of our emotions, we are easily swayed by outside events and the behavior of others. Our emotions become like a turbulent sea, and we are tossed around by every wave. However, when we cultivate silence, we create a solid foundation within ourselves that is not easily disturbed. We learn to remain steady in the face of adversity, and this steadiness is a form of power. It is the power of self-control, the power of resilience, and the power to remain grounded no matter what is happening around us. True power is not about dominating others or asserting ourselves through force. It is about mastering ourselves. It is about having the ability to maintain our peace, our clarity, and our focus, regardless of what is happening externally. Silence is the key to unlocking this kind of inner power. It is in silence that we access the strength to endure, the strength to overcome, and the strength to rise above the challenges that life inevitably throws our way. When we choose silence, we are choosing to stay true to ourselves. We are choosing to act from a place of calm, clarity, and purpose. Silence gives us the ability to filter out the noise of the world and tune into the deeper truths that guide us. It allows us to distinguish between what is important and what is merely a distraction. When we act from this place of inner power, we are not swayed by the opinions or judgments of others. We are not concerned with the external validation or approval. We simply act in alignment with our highest self, trusting that the actions we take will lead us to where we need to be. Moreover, silence allows us to build a deeper connection with others. In a world that is constantly talking, listening has become a rare and invaluable skill. When we practice silence, we create the space to listen, not just to others, but also to ourselves. We listen with full attention, with empathy, and with understanding. This ability to listen deeply is a powerful tool for building meaningful relationships and fostering connection. It is through silence that we learn to truly hear what others are saying without the distractions of our own thoughts, judgments, or preconceived notions. In the silence, we also learn to cultivate patience. In a society that demands immediate results, silence teaches us the value of waiting and allowing things to unfold in their own time. Patience is not passive, it is an active practice of trust. It is the trust that everything will come at the right time, that everything is unfolding as it should, and that we do not need to force or rush the process. Silence is the practice of trusting the present moment and allowing life to happen in its own way and time. This kind of patience is not born from passivity, but from an inner strength that knows when to act and when to wait. True power, therefore, is found not in how loud we can speak or how quickly we can react, but in our ability to remain silent, composed, and focused amidst the noise of life. It is in silence that we find clarity, wisdom, and the strength to navigate life with purpose and intention. The quieter we become, the more power we unlock within ourselves. Silence has the unique ability to create clarity, and clarity, in turn, is the pathway to wisdom. In a world where distractions and constant noise flood our senses, it's often difficult to see things clearly. Our minds are overloaded with thoughts, opinions, and judgments, and this mental clutter clouds our ability to perceive reality as it truly is. The more we allow ourselves to be pulled in many directions by external influences, the less capable we become of seeing the truth of a situation or recognizing what is truly important. Silence, however, acts as a lens that helps us focus, sharpening our perception and allowing us to see beyond the surface. When we cultivate silence, we create a space in which clarity can emerge. It is in this space of stillness that the mind becomes quiet enough to observe our surroundings without judgment. We are no longer filtering the world through the lens of preconceived notions or past experiences. Instead, we see things as they are, without the distortion that comes from mental noise. This clear vision allows us to make better decisions, as we are no longer clouded by emotional reactions or external pressures. We begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and we find solutions where others see only problems. The clarity that silence brings also helps us recognize the truth of our own thoughts and emotions. In the absence of external distractions, we become more aware of the inner workings of our mind. We can observe our thoughts as they arise without immediately reacting to them. This heightened awareness gives us the power to choose how we respond, rather than being controlled by our emotions. When we are caught up in the noise of the world, it's easy to lose touch with what is truly important to us. Our thoughts become a tangled mess of desires, fears, and doubts, and we lose sight of our core values and intentions. But in silence, we can reconnect with our inner wisdom, and this wisdom guides us towards the choices that are aligned with our true selves. Clarity in silence also leads to greater understanding, not only of ourselves, but of others as well. In our daily interactions, we often speak more than we listen. We react impulsively, sometimes without truly understanding the other person's perspective. We may judge or make assumptions based on limited information. Silence, however, allows us to step back and listen, not just with our ears, but with our hearts and minds. In this space of quiet reflection, we become more attuned to the feelings, motivations, and needs of others. This deeper understanding fosters empathy and compassion, enabling us to connect more authentically and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Another important aspect of clarity is the ability to prioritize what truly matters. In the chaos of everyday life, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of things we have to do, the endless list of tasks, and the constant demands on our time and energy. When we are constantly on the go, we often make decisions based on urgency rather than importance. We react to the latest crisis or distraction without taking the time to consider whether it aligns with our larger goals or values. Silence gives us the space to step back and evaluate what is truly worth our time and attention. By quieting the noise, we gain perspective and can make decisions that reflect our long-term aspirations rather than the immediate pressures of the moment. This sense of clarity also enhances our creativity. When our minds are clear, free from the clutter of distractions, we are able to think more deeply and creatively. Silence allows us to tap into a deeper level of consciousness where inspiration and insight can flow freely. Many of the world's greatest ideas and breakthroughs have come during moments of stillness, when the mind is calm and the distractions of the world fade away. In these moments of clarity, we are able to see connections that were previously hidden, and we gain the confidence to pursue innovative solutions that might have seemed impossible in the noise of everyday life. Moreover, clarity gained through silence gives us the ability to discern between what is true and what is not. In today's world, we are bombarded with information from every angle: news outlets, social media, advertisements, and opinions from people around us. Much of this information is conflicting or distorted, making it difficult to know what to believe. Silence acts as a filter, allowing us to sift through the noise and discern what is authentic. In this space of clarity, we can distinguish between truth and falsehood, between wisdom and illusion. This ability to discern empowers us to make decisions that are grounded in reality, rather than being swayed by false narratives or the opinions of others. Clarity also leads to a deeper sense of peace. When the mind is clouded by confusion and mental noise, it is difficult to find inner peace. We are constantly agitated, pulled in different directions by the conflicting demands of our thoughts and emotions. Silence, however, provides a refuge from this inner turmoil. In the stillness, we can experience a deep sense of calm and serenity. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, it comes from within. The more we cultivate silence, the more we experience this inner peace, which becomes a steady anchor in the face of life's challenges. Finally, the clarity that silence provides allows us to live with intention. When we are able to see clearly, we are no longer driven by impulses or the whims of the moment. We act with purpose, guided by our values and goals. This clarity helps us stay on course, even when the world around us is chaotic. It gives us the strength to stay true to our path, regardless of the distractions or obstacles that arise. When we are clear about what we want and why we want it, we are able to make decisions that align with our deepest desires, and this alignment leads to fulfillment and success. In silence, clarity emerges, and in clarity, wisdom is born. Silence is not just an absence of noise, it is a space where understanding, insight, and purpose are nurtured. It is through silence that we gain the clarity needed to navigate life with confidence, creativity, and inner peace. The ability to respond instead of react is one of the most powerful skills we can cultivate. In today's fast-paced world, where everything is moving at an accelerated pace and we are constantly bombarded with stimuli, our natural tendency is often to react. Reactions are instantaneous and automatic, often driven by emotions such as anger, fear, or frustration. These immediate responses can be destructive, not just to ourselves but also to those around us. Reactions come from a place of unconsciousness, where we are controlled by our emotions, thoughts, and external circumstances. When we react impulsively, we lose the ability to choose how we respond to situations and people, allowing our circumstances to dictate our behavior. To break free from this cycle of reactivity, it is essential to develop the practice of responding. Responding, unlike reacting, requires awareness and intentionality. When we respond, we take a moment to pause, assess the situation, and make a choice. This space of pause gives us the power to regain control over our actions and decisions. Rather than being swept away by the surge of emotion or the external pressures of a situation, we stand firm in our ability to respond from a place of clarity, composure, and self-awareness. This shift from reaction to response is the difference between being a passive participant in our lives and being an active creator of our experiences. The power to respond begins with the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being present in the moment, of observing our thoughts, emotions, and the world around us without judgment. When we are mindful, we become more aware of the triggers that cause us to react. We notice when we are becoming upset, frustrated, or anxious, and we recognize the physical and emotional sensations that accompany these feelings. This awareness is the first step in breaking the pattern of reactivity. By acknowledging our emotional state in real time, we create the space needed to choose a different response. Instead of acting on autopilot, we can pause, breathe, and make a conscious decision about how we want to respond. This ability to pause and create space between stimulus and reaction is not something that happens overnight. It takes practice and discipline to cultivate this level of awareness and self-control. Every time we choose to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, we strengthen this ability. Like any skill, the more we practice, the easier it becomes. Over time, we begin to shift our default response from reaction to response, and we create new patterns of behavior that are more aligned with our values and goals. Responding rather than reacting also requires emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to recognize and understand our own emotions and the emotions of others, and to use this awareness to manage our behavior and relationships. When we react emotionally, we are often unaware of the underlying causes of our emotions. We may lash out in anger without realizing that our anger is a mask for fear or insecurity. We may withdraw in sadness without understanding the deeper need for connection that underlies our withdrawal. By cultivating emotional intelligence, we become more attuned to our emotional landscape and the emotional needs of others. This awareness enables us to respond in a way that is empathetic, constructive, and aligned with our long-term goals, rather than being driven by momentary emotions. The ability to respond also requires a shift in perspective. Reactions are often rooted in a narrow, immediate view of a situation. We see only what is in front of us, and our response is colored by our limited understanding or our personal biases. But when we take the time to respond, we expand our perspective. We step back from the situation and consider the broader context. We may ask ourselves, what is the bigger picture here? What are the long-term consequences of my actions? How can I respond in a way that supports my values and goals, rather than just reacting out of frustration or impulsiveness? By widening our perspective, we can make decisions that are more thoughtful, rational, and in alignment with our deeper intentions. Moreover, the ability to respond instead of react is a cornerstone of personal empowerment. When we react impulsively, we give our power away. We allow our emotions, thoughts, and external events to dictate our behavior. We become like a leaf in the wind, tossed around by whatever comes our way, but when we respond, we reclaim our power, we take control of our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions. We no longer let life happen to us, we make conscious choices that shape our experience. This sense of empowerment is liberating. It allows us to live with intention and purpose, rather than being swept along by the currents of life. Responding also plays a critical role in building healthier, more meaningful relationships. In interactions with others, especially in conflict or difficult situations, our natural tendency may be to react defensively or aggressively. This can escalate the situation and damage the relationship. However, when we respond instead of react, we create space for understanding, empathy, and connection. We listen actively, seek to understand the other person's perspective, and choose a response that reflects our values of respect, kindness, and cooperation. By responding thoughtfully, we can de-escalate tense situations, build trust, and strengthen our relationships. Another benefit of responding rather than reacting is that it helps to reduce stress and anxiety. When we react impulsively, we often act in ways that create more stress or lead to undesirable outcomes. We may say things we regret or make decisions that we later wish we hadn't made. This adds to our stress and anxiety, leaving us feeling out of control and overwhelmed. But when we respond, we approach situations with calm and clarity. We make decisions that are in alignment with our best interests, which reduces the likelihood of negative consequences and the stress that comes with them. In this way, responding creates a sense of inner peace and control. Ultimately, the choice between reaction and response is a choice between living reactively or living proactively. When we react, we allow our circumstances and emotions to control us. But when we respond, we take control of our lives, making conscious, thoughtful choices that lead to greater happiness, fulfillment, and success. The ability to respond instead of react is a skill that can be developed with practice, and it is one of the most empowering tools we can have in our personal and professional lives. Through mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and a shift in perspective, we can create the space to respond with clarity and intention, rather than being swept away by the turbulence of immediate reactions.